Da, da, da. So the Boxster is back on the lift. This thing was actually in pretty good mechanical condition when I bought it, considering the miles. But the rear axles were always in very, very poor condition. I bought some new ones a while ago, but haven't really had motivation or time to come and do this. So, I'm going to strand the car out here, not necessarily get it done today, but I want to get the lower plate off below the engine. I want to refill the transaxle. That made a huge difference on the 911 and the 987 that you guys saw earlier. And I have no reason to believe it won't do miracles for this as well, because you can kind of hear a good amount of lash in there, so I think the fluid's pretty worn out. So I'm going to drop that plate out, and then, actually, I'm going to turn on the light so I can show you this. So it's like that on both sides. It's just a series of bolts on the actual transaxle. And you can see there's a whole lot of debris inside those CVs, so they are not in good condition. But man, if the rest of the car isn't in pretty good shape, especially considering the miles. Yeah, I digress. First thing for me is just gonna be pulling the wheels off of it. And then eventually I think I'm gonna have to pull this ball joint and this one to get enough swing on it. Then the big axle nut, and then hopefully I can get that whole thing out of the hub. And then after that it's pretty easy, just undoing the bolts on the actual transaxle. So it looks pretty messy because it's had a lot of grease dumping out of it for a while, but hey man, I've had worse. So I'm gonna don some gloves, rip the wheels off of it, and then probably start separating those ball joints, as well as taking this gigantic plate off just so I can see a little bit better. Well, I'll start by taking the 19 mil off of your rear lower control arm. Then take your 15 millimeter wrench and a 16 millimeter wrench. Remove the lower sway bar end link nut. Then take your 32 millimeter, zip off the axle nut. Once that's off, take your hammer and pound that in a bit, I guess as far as you can. And then take your 18 mil, I guess you could do this before, just a box wrench, and undo that nut. Once you've undone the nut, get your pry bar in between the control arm and the knuckle, lightly put tension on it, and then smack it with a hammer right around there. And it should pop loose, and then pull down very hard on the control arm, and it should come out of the knuckle, giving you enough room to pull the knuckle away and get the axle out once we undo the inner bolts. Now if the axle cup is free, I'm actually gonna shove it way up here, and then a combination of that being up here, pulling the snout out of the knuckle, and then pulling the entire assembly down. Oh, sorry, it started slipping out. So, yep, get the butt end back up there, and then push away on the knuckle, and then the snout should be able to clear down here, and it'll basically just fall out. And then hopefully yours looks better than mine. Got no boots basically left on either end. And here's my new one. This is a FEQ, I think. This is about as cheap aftermarket replacement as I'll go, but I've never had an FEQ fail. So I think SureTrack also makes axles for the Boxster, but if you do buy one of those, they're probably okay, but I would pull the caps off and grease them. So there we have everything buttoned back together. I reused the original equipment axle nuts because they're better quality. I also reused the original bolts, but you can't use the original bridge pieces because they don't fit. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. I don't think it will. Both axles went in just perfect, so I'm very, very happy about basically how this whole job went. This could have been much, much worse. I'm gonna do the transaxle oil change now, which oh shoot, is that the fill plug? I don't know, I gotta look back on my other Boxster video, I think, and figure out exactly where to put the fluid in. Oh, there it is. So I'm gonna do that. I've already covered the transaxle oil change on a 987. It's the same here. Got a drain plug right there, fill plug right there. This fluid's probably never been changed before, which is terrifying. I'm hearing a lot of gear lash, so it's time. And then after that, in a separate video, I'm gonna show you guys how to do, oh, pardon, spark plugs. Which, well, it doesn't look too bad, but we'll see.